Yes.
Mr. President, part of the NIT session of India-South Africa Joint Ministerial Commission of May 2015 was assurance by the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation to support India's membership nuclear supplier group. Despite overwhelming evidence that nuclear is not affordable, it will cripple the country's fiscus, and countries such as Germany with nuclear experience have advised against it. But your government is insisting on procurement of nuclear, which is estimated to cost more than 1 trillion, almost equal to the country's total budget. Is government insisting on the nuclear procurement because your friends, the Guptas' parent companies in India, disguised in directorship and holdership in South Africa, including your son Duduzile shares, stand to benefit from the nuclear deal? We know that immediately you announced the 1 trillion nuclear deal, your family friends, the Guptas, they registered a company that is involved in nuclear. Do you intend to continue with corruption? In fact, around the issue of the territory, our understanding as EFF is that the territory of South Africa has always existed before the ANC was born. The ANC was born as a tool to liberate the people. So the territory has long existed before the ANC. So your response is hogwash and indicate political dwarfism.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Firstly, this country has had nuclear historically. Nuclear is not an issue, it's not a new matter in South Africa. Nuclear has been there. The only problem in the past, it was used wrongly for dangerous weapons. We came in as a democratic government and said we'll never use it for dangerous intents. It will be used for helpful, non-militaristic purposes, one of which is to bring energy. We took a very important position in Copenhagen, COP17, and committed this country to move on clean energy. And nuclear is the cleanest energy. And that's why we're pursuing it. And it will solve the problems, even if you put, for an example, other types of clear energy, will not reach the percentage that the nuclear will bring to solve the problem of energy in this country once and for all. And that's the reason why we're pursuing it. It's an important kind of energy that you need. We need to invest so that we can solve the problems of energy in this country. That's the reason why we took that decision. It has nothing to do with all the kind of things the honorable member was talking about. Nothing to do. It has something to do with energy of this country. And that's what it is. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, House Chair. The Economic Freedom Fighters note the statement by the Gupta family who want to run away after we as EFF expose their shenanigans and state capture. The Gupta criminals have enriched themselves, stole our tax money, and have rendered key state-owned institutions useless. PRASA crisis has the Gupta at the center of it. They toppled Daniel's previous board to replace it with a group of directors approved by them to loot without disturbance. These are just few examples among a trail of destruction Gupta has left behind in many more other state-owned companies. We call on the relevant authorities to accelerate the investigation before they run away. There is a prima facie case and sufficient evidence for relevant authorities to seize all their assets, in particular cash, because they have already started. They moved billions of rands to Dubai with an assistant of Jacob Zuma illegally. These are the people.
Honorable Chair, on a point of order, we have His Excellency the President, not Zuma here.
Honorable Sope, a point of order to the name
Jacob Zuma is not accepted, can we please call all members, honorable members, or Mr. President?
They move billions of rands. to
Honorable
Dubai.
member, please.
Yes, I'm doing that, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
They move billions of rands to Dubai with an assistant of Mr. Jacob Zuma illegally. These are people who must be arrested.
On a point of
the
order,
state
Chair.
must do anything possible to recover the
The
stolen
member
monies
must
by
provide
the
a substantive
Guptas.
motion for that.
The
because
people
there's no
they
proof that the
place in
president
various
has moved the
state-owned
money out.
companies and government departments, ministers in their pockets and their businesses associated must be arrested before they leave the country too. We can't allow Mzansi Africa to become banana republic
1.5
over a
minutes
plate
over.
of the
Thank you
curry.
very much. Honorable member, you know very well that if you are going to raise issues like that, you need to have a substantive motion.
Look, I think it's a sad day that the whole parliament has to sit here today discussing one corrupt and immoral family. But we have to do so because we know as a fact that this family has business interests in government business. And we know for a fact that they have corrupt partnership with Mr. Zuma. Now, we've been calling for the establishment of a judicial commission into this matter, and we support this motion to establish this ad hoc committee to investigate the following. That it was the Guptas who replaced Mr. Ngwakora Matlodi. We know for a fact that the presidential convoy was outside the Guptas family on the day before Zwane was appointed. All ministers and premiers, mayors of places where the ANC governs were forced to sign contracts to bankroll the New Age and the ANN7. Now we know at the SABC that ministers are paying 400,000 rands per appearance to appear on a corrupt show called the New Age Breakfast Show. Number 3, that the Guptas control the most corrupt premier, Ace Magashule of the Free State. In fact, he controls 2 other premiers, which is the premier of Mpumalanga, David Mabuza, and the premier of Northwest, Suprama Umape, and many others, of course. And also, Chair, the Honorable Chief Whip of the ANC, if you heard correctly, I said we support this establishment, the establishment of this ad hoc committee to investigate these issues. So the corruptness of Ace Magashule must be dealt with by the ad hoc commission. Thank you very much. We would like them to investigate also the capture of ministers. Minister Zwane, Minister Fikile Mbalula, who has confessed to the fact, Minister Van Rooyen, and many other ministers, of course. They have captured individuals in key state-owned state-owned entities and individuals. Brian Molefe of Eskom, Jimmy Manye is captured, Dinell is captured, the SAA is captured, and of course, the SABC and its compromised COO, Hlaudi Motsoeneng. These are some of the things that need to be investigated. Now, it is a known fact that the Gupta used Waterkloof Air Force Base to fly in their private family members for a private wedding, which the president attended. The Gupta family is responsible for the 570 million controversial dairy farm project led by computer sales staff that knew absolutely nothing about dairy farming, and it was signed by Minister Zwane. As a matter of fact, the Gupta have already received 400 million in bribe money to the nuclear deal from the Russians, and they're going to do everything in their power to protect that deal. Other major concerns that we have are major. We are concerned about a state capture, which is more important than any judicial or political issues. The state capture means that we are taking money away from education that we just spoke about now, housing, and many other issues. The Gupta di qetile ANC le ba hlokomele ba tlo le qeta ka 2017 ha le ya conference le ba hlokomele empa rona we are saying we are still going to come back and investigate other captures by the Ruperts and other people. Thank you very much.
Kwena, thank you. Your time is now expired.
Ngiyabonga sihlalo. The most important thing about the recent decision by the NPA here is its impact on our democracy. The only reason why Minister of Finance Pravin Gordhan was charged is because the Guptas wanted to get hold of the National Treasury. A final move to fully capture South Africa and its purse after they have successfully captured the head of state. If a Gupta puppet controls the National Treasury, South African Airways will get endless and unlimited guarantees, regardless of the corruption Dudumeni Zuma is doing on a daily basis. If a Gupta puppet controls the National Treasury, Daniel, together with the Gupta and Duduzane Zuma company, will loot state money in Asia without disruption. If a Gupta puppet controls the National Treasury, pension fund money at the PIC will be looted to Dubai using Air Force One. We saw what happened when a Gupta puppet controlled Eskom. State money was used to buy Duduzane Zuma mining companies left and right. And illegal and corrupt contracts are awarded to Gupta companies without following procedures. We wrote as the EFF to request that the Johannesburg Bar Council to remove Mr. Sean Abrams. Mr. Sean Abrams must fall. He must fall for taking political orders from the Luthuli House, and he must fall for threatening the independence of the NPA. But the most dangerous person is beyond Mr. Sean Abrams at the NPA, is Mr. Zuma and the ANC collective. This is clear demonstration beyond reasonable doubt that Mr. Zuma and the ANC are beyond salvation. There is no ANC. It is a dead organization, you like it or not. It has no respect for our democracy or our well-being. Like the appointment of a minister just to serve on a weekend special minister. That appointment costed the South Africa a lot of money, but the ANC didn't see anything wrong. Hence, they retained Mr. Zuma on their NEC yesterday. All they care about is corruption and capturing. Mr. Zuma wants to capture everything on earth, even himself. To restore the independence of the NPA, firstly, Mr. Sean Abrams must fall, and he will fall. And he will fall with his father, Mr. Zuma.
Chairperson?
Thank you.
Please use the correct way of calling any member of this House.
House Chair, I'm a member of the Economic Freedom Fighters who do not recognize Zuma as the president of this country.
Honorable member,
For the
in this
purposes
House.
of the sitting, wait. For the purpose of the sitting, it's Mr. Zuma.
Thank
Fine.
you very much for saying that.
The Gupta-led mafia faction of the ANC, including the Minister of Public Enterprise and Eskom board, handpicked and appointed by Atul Gupta and Duduzane Zuma, and the minister will do everything in their
Chairperson,
power to
I'm
ensure
rising-
that procurement
I'm rising
of a
on Rule
nuclear deal
85.
go through.
Honorable member, please.
I'm rising on Rule 85.
Yes.
The member is impugning the dignity of the minister by saying that she's mafia.
Did they say that? Did you say that, honorable member?
House Chair,
Did you say
I
that?
said ANC mafia. We all know that the minister is being appointed by Atul, the Guptas. We all know that
Honorable
all
member,
of you on that
honorable
bench
member, please.
are Gupta handpicked.
Honorable member, when you say ANC mafia, are you referring to any member of this House?
I'm referring to the ANC. Now, if I may continue.
Okay, continue.
despite
We'll check that.
overwhelming
We will
evidence
check
South
that.
Africa
We will
cannot
check that.
afford procurement of nuclear deal. The Minister of Finance and the National Treasury can testify to this, as they have told the Fees Commission that the country cannot afford 1 billion for free, quality and decolonized higher education. We know now from the Public Protector's report the modus operandi of the Guptas, parent companies in India, disguised in a web of directorship in South African companies. Immediately you announced the 1 trillion nuclear deal. The Gupta had just finalized the purchase of the Shiva uranium through IDC fraudulent loan. We know now the reason of the decision to move the procurement of the nuclear deal to ESCOM. We have seen the evidence. The CEO of ESCOM, Mr. Brian Molefe, has done everything in his power to enrich the Guptas. Now today he comes
Thank you
and
very
cries
much,
on
Honorable
national
Member.
television.
Your time has expired. ANC?
The EFF notes media reports about the Gupta's attempt to capture the National Treasury by offering the Deputy Minister of Finance, Mr. Jonas, the position of the Minister of Finance, just like what they did to Minister Fikile Mbalula. We can now confirm that the meeting indeed took place a few weeks back before Nene was fired. The EFF warned this House and the nation when it happened that Minister of Mineral Resources is employed by Guptas as an executive of their company, not a minister. Those who still have doubts can see for themselves. Now he is busy traveling with the Guptas to negotiate deals on their behalf. We know that the Guptas have already started to move 2 billion of ill-gotten gains have already been moved to Dubai, and they are in the process to move more.
Point
This
of
is
order,
not
House Chair.
rumors or innuendos.
Order,
It's a
Honourable Member,
reality.
will you take your seat, please? Why are you rising, Honourable Member?
A member that is reading the statement is casting aspersion of a serving member of this House, and therefore I request him to withdraw.
Indeed, Honourable Member, you are referring to sitting members of the House, and as you know and I know, that requires a substantive motion. You must withdraw.
No, I'm not sure, Chair, what you're referring to. I'm talking about people employed by Guptas. There's no Gupta that
In fact,
employs
Honourable Member, in previous sittings of the House, the word Guptas has been ruled unparliamentary as well. You must thus withdraw.
I draw, Chair.
And you can continue with your statements, Honourable
This is not
Member.
rumors or innuendos. It is the reality. We wrote to all relevant authorities, Minister of Finance, Governor of the Reserve Bank, Director of Financial Intelligence Center, and SARS to investigate why the Guptas did not pay 10% exit levy on capital export. All those who form part of the Gupta's criminal organization.
Honourable
are
Member,
on
your
board.
time has expired.
It's
Take
a
your
matter of
seat,
time
please.
before the will of justice move.
The ANC.
Thank you, House Chair. Before the Gupta-led mafia faction of the ANC, the biggest threat to the national fiscus was contingent liabilities and guarantees for state-owned entities, as most of them are crippled by inefficiencies and a lack of clear economic policy directive on state-owned entities' role in the industrial policy. However, all that has changed, and the nuclear energy procurement has just become the largest risk to the national fiscus. Despite the fact that it is unaffordable and it is likely to cripple our national fiscus, this has now been made worse by the fact that Mr. Zuma and the Guptas have already accepted bribes from Russia, and the nuclear energy procurement will go ahead despite all irrationality. What is particularly concerning is the secrecy, irrational decisions, and the misguiding of the public as the process of nuclear...
Honourable Chairperson, I stand on a point of order in accordance
Honorable Paulson,
with Rule
please.
number 82, and to ask the Speaker to say if there is any allegations against the President and the Russians, that should be in a form of a substantive motion.
That is noted. Honorable Member, please make sure that such issues need substantive motion.
What is particularly
Continue.
concerning is the secrecy, irrational decisions, and the misguiding of the public as the process of nuclear energy procurement unfold. At first, the Department of Energy was the lead department in the nuclear bill procurement, and the Minister was hell-bent on keeping it as secretive as possible. On the 3rd of November, Cabinet issued a statement to amend its decision of 10 June 2015 to designate the South African Nuclear Corporation as the implementing agent for the nuclear build program. Let alone the fact that the 10th of June 2015 Cabinet statement does not make mention of the amended decision. The only reason why this decision is made is because the Guptas have successfully captured ESCOM. The Guptas have tasted the water with the getter, corrupt and possibly illegal contract of more than 600 million rand, and that was used to buy Optimum coal mine, and now they are focusing on the nuclear energy deal. The evidence on the recently released report by the Public Protector on the state of capture shows that the board at ESCOM are improperly appointed and not in line with good corporate
Thank
governance.
you very much. Honorable Paulse, your time has now
The
expired.
EFF
Thank
does
you.
not
We do
support
not
the
have
adoption
a
of the
problem as the EFF with the better border management authority or agency, but we can have that without the customs collection principle and processes that you're supposed to have dealt with. So those are some of the issues that you must deal with in case you succeed in removing the Guptas from the ANC, because it's them who had been saying that customs collections should be stratified, should be balkanized, so that they can have entry into the BMA and give it the direction that they will be looking into.
I see no other, Honorable Shivambu, of course.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Commander-in-Chief, there are certain things which perhaps we have to deal with differently when we take over power here in South Africa. One of those things is how cabinet relates to legislation. Now, this is what happened, that the National Treasury assured us throughout the deliberations on the FIC bill that cabinet has dealt with all the issues sufficiently in terms of the FIC bill. And cabinet is appointed by a president. They satisfy themselves that they can bring it as a bill to parliament for us to deliberate on that particular bill. It was brought here, and then we passed it to give it back to the president to sign it into law, into an act of parliament. And we did not change most of the issues. We just made sure that there's proper articulation of the critical issues that speak to how the FIC should assist in the war against financial crimes in South Africa. And in terms of the warrantless searches, we did not change anything. A president who approved a bill brings it to parliament, we take it to him back as it was in terms of those sections. And then he says it is unconstitutional. It is not compliant with the law, but he dealt with it first. He's the one who gave it to us as parliament, and then he brings it back for the second time. And what is the basis of him bringing it back? Is because the Guptas had said that that bill must not be signed into law. And opportunistically, when that bill was brought back specifically to deal with warrantless searches, then the Gupta groups was brought here to come and sing for their supper, led by Jimmy Manye and unfortunately Solo Rastaba as well, because they've been co-opted into a Gupta band that seeks to protect family interest. And what were their issues? Their issues were two. They say in their submissions that bank accounts are being closed. And that is the issue that relates to the Guptas. And the second issue, they say that the ANC is going to be broke for the 2019 elections if we pass the FIC bill into a law as parliament. What they're basically suggesting is that the ANC is financed by money that is laundered. It's financed by money that is utilized for terrorist purposes, because this is what this act seeks to combat. And then the ANC Professionals Forum, led by a zombie of the Guptas called Jimmy Manye, they come there and say that we represent the ANC professionals, and we can tell you that if you pass this bill, the ANC is going to be broke for the 2019 elections. And we're supposed to listen to such kind of nonsense, pure nonsense that has happened. Now we have expedited the process within the law, and we know that all the legal advices, and by the way, including the legal advice of the Black Business Council, was unanimous on the fact that we have to pass this law as is, because there is nothing that is unconstitutional about it. There was just grandstanding that had been happening around it. So now we must pass this legislation and take it back to the president, but we must agree that there must be a time frame within which legislation is signed when we take it to the president's desk, because in many instances it is deliberately delayed without a forecast in terms of when it must be made law. MPRDA spent more than 24 months on the desk of the president without being signed. It ultimately was brought back here in parliament. It was signed very late. So when the FIC bill goes back to the president, with the outgoing president's desk, in light of the incoming developments, he must immediately he must immediately sign it into law so that we can have a proper instrument to fight financial crimes, money laundering, and all these things that happen in the global money movements. It's an important legislation to pass into law, but it's not the end of it. There are many other legislations that we must put into action to be able to fight financial crimes that define South Africa for a very long time. Thank you very much.
Honorable President, during your last question session before this House, I had asked you a question which you simply dismissed by advising that you were not a Sangoma. I hope today that you will be an ordained pastor, that you are, and come clean on this matter before the House. Honorable President, were you influenced in any way by any third party to remove Minister Nhlanhla Nene from his post as Minister of Finance? Thank you.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you very much, Deputy. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I have acted in terms of appointing ministers. I have acted many times in changing ministers. I've also acted to remove ministers at different times. There are always reasons that lead to, if for an example, a minister is to be shifted or redeployed, there are reasons that lead to that. There is no action in terms of removal and replacing or appointing ministers that comes without reasons why that is done. There were reasons why Minister Nene had to be redeployed. Those reasons are the reasons of government, and once Nene was removed, you needed to replace that, and that's what I did. And this arises out of what government is doing and what the thinking and decisions of governments are. If there can be any influence in how government does things, it can only be the ruling party, which would not necessarily come to tell you do this and this. That is the only area where you could be influenced, because the ruling party wants to ensure that its programs are implemented. The processes, the necessary processes were undertaken within the Constitution, within the law. The fact that the Rand was in trouble before Nene left, the Rand was on the down slope. And secondly, it is not the first time that the markets react when a minister is either put or taken away. There is a history to that. There's nothing strange about it. The markets have their own temperament on any other issue. So there was a decision taken, very well considered, why we're taking Nene and where we're sending him to.
Point of order.
Honorable Maimane.
Absolutely important.
Honorable Maimane, the president is still on his feet.
Yes, I waited.
Honorable Maimane.
I'll wait.
Please finish off, Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm through.
What is your point, Honorable Maimane?
It's a crucial point, Madam Speaker.
What is the point?
The point of order is this. The president has come here to tell South Africans that the rand was already in decline, which is not true. The fact of the matter is...
Honorable Maimane, Honorable Maimane,
the president
if you have an argument to make, this is not the way to do it, Honorable Maimane.
South Africans need to know.
Please take a seat, Honorable Maimane.
Order, Speaker.
Take a seat, Honorable Maimane.
Order, Speaker.
Honorable Maimane, take your seat.
He's not answering.
Honorable Maimane, if you don't take your seat, I will have to ask you to go.
But Speaker, I'm asking nicely.
Honorable Maimane.
Answering the question. He's not answering.
Honorable Maimane. I will really have to ask you to leave the chamber because you refuse to cooperate.
He's not answering the question.
Honorable Maimane, please leave the house. Please leave.
Awunangqondo Speaker wena.
Order,
Lisela,
honorable
Zuma,
members,
Lisela.
order.
protecting the Guptas.
Allow the honorable members who are
protecting
leaving
the
to
Guptas.
leave, and let's proceed with the question session.
You protecting the Guptas.
Appointed by the Guptas, all of you.
Honorable members, please go in an orderly fashion. We would like to proceed with the question session.
You protecting the Guptas. You protecting the Guptas.
Hlala phansi manje. Wasiphakamisa isandla uhleli phansi.